I wrote down a couple things which I think are all important to selling the weight of an object. So I'm just going to go over some of these concepts. They're all just explaining how to show the weight of an object. The first thing that I wrote down is the heavier something is, the more effect it will have on the body. So that idea comes into play with, for instance, if you're lifting up, let's say you have a tabletop, right? And you're going to lift up a piece of paper. So there's a piece of paper on this tabletop. And I'm giving it just a little bit of bend just to show kind of how light it is, right? If I go to lift up this piece of paper, and let's say, I grab it, I can just pick it up with my wrist, right? So I can literally just pick it up, and here it is, and I'm holding it with my thumb and my fingers. I can literally just twist my wrist and pick up this piece of paper, right? Right, so that's a light object. That is a really light object. But now, if, let's say, we have the same table, and we have dumbbells, and let's say that it's very heavy, and now I have to pick that up off of this table, right? Now, I'm going to have to use more than my wrist to pick it up. Now, I'll probably have to use my shoulders as well. So if I grabbed onto this, now I need to use my shoulders. So now my shoulder angle has to get behind me lifting this up. So the heavier something is, the more it affects your body in terms of how much of your body you have to use to lift it. And that goes through with how you lift stuff up. Like, for instance, that change. So for instance, this would be a change from him holding it, right? You hold on to it, and his shoulders maybe counter the other way, relax the other way, and then he lifts with the shoulders, right? So you drive up with the shoulders, and then this would come off. Then you could lift it off of the table. Whereas this, all you have to do is just rotate your wrist around. It's this shoulder angle. That's my change. The change is in the shoulder angle. It's almost like the idea of reversals. You want that change of shape. You want the shoulder to be your leading object. You want it to drive up. So for instance, if I'm going to have my shoulders drive up, I'm not going to put them when he grabs it up. I'm going to put them down. That way there's somewhere for them to go. And he's also in like a more relaxed pose. So when he grabs, I'm going to put it down on purpose because I'm going to pull up with it later when he goes to lift it up. Once this guy's holding it off the table, then his shoulder will drop down with it. You can think of it like a chain. The further up the chain is affected with the heavier the object is. If this were light, I could just use my wrist. The heavier it gets, now I have to throw more behind it, I have to throw more behind it, I have to throw all this behind it, I have to throw this behind it, I have to even maybe, head angle is going to adjust. So the heavier something is, the more stuff is going to get used. So you can think of it like the more that's further away from the contact point, whatever is holding it, has to get used, including your just weight shifts. That's another part of it as well. So that's one way to show weight. The heavier something is, the more effect it'll have on the body. So the more like your shoulders get pulled down by the weight of it, the more just effect it has in general.